Right, welcome back everybody. 12 minutes before the top of the hour. I told you that radio is going to meet television today, and I'll tell you why. Because tomorrow is the start of Joburg Radio Days. Now, it's become one of the biggest events on the African continent here, and you'll see a host of radio personalities and radio, I suppose, decision makers coming together and talking about this. Over 50 speakers will be at this particular Joburg Radio Day, taking place from tomorrow until the 4th of July. And in studio with us to talk a little bit more about this is Professor Franz Kruger, who is from Wits University. He's from the Journalism and Media Studies Department. Good to have you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
All right. So I'm seeing that there are so many different topics that are going to be discussed, but we'll get to that now. Just talk to us about 5 years of this Joburg Radio Days. When did it all begin, and why? Why did you feel it was necessary?
Well, it began in 2009, and it was an idea that came up right at the beginning when we started the Wits Radio Academy, which is the wing of Wits journalism that deals with radio. And we felt that there was a need really for radio people to get together and discuss the issues that confront them.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a very quickly changing world. I mean, as I walked in, you were checking your Twitter, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Always.
And I mean, that's part of our lives now. And of course, that affects all of us in the media, and it affects people in radio in particular ways, in very exciting ways, I think, because the interface between radio and some of the new media, the social media, is actually quite a natural one. But of course it needs discussion, it needs adapting, and so we felt that there was a real space there for people from community radio, from public radio, the SABC, and from commercial radio to get together to discuss some of these things, to explore new ideas, to think about where things are going, and to learn from each other.
And it seriously has changed. I mean, when we talk about that this has been around for 5 years, in those 5 years, radio has completely evolved, if you look at it. I mean, is that a not true statement that I've made, or is it true? I mean, has radio really, in these past 5 years, changed completely?
Well, it has changed. I mean, I think that it's changed on the edges largely, in the sense that there are a huge number of new possibilities out there, audio streaming, online radio stations, podcasting is something that we're beginning to see more of in this country. And radio stations' use of new media has changed a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the major audiences are still on FM, and I think that's going to, in this country at least, is going to stay with us for quite some time.
Yeah.
Other countries are moving more quickly towards digital broadcasting, digital signals, and I think we will get there, but I think that's a little bit slower here.
How big, that was my next question. How big is it, and in terms of, the convenience of anybody just switching on their radio and it's there. It's easy, it's cheaper. When you look at broadband and paying for data these days, and online radio is another option. Are South Africans taken to online radio, or is it still your FM-based, as you said?
Well, overwhelmingly it remains FM-based.
Yeah.
I think what is interesting about the online space is that it allows people to experiment. And you have I mean, I think one of the most interesting things, and we'll have him at our conference, is the thing that Gareth Cliff is trying with WeChat, where he's actually effectively broadcasting on a chat platform. I haven't seen figures yet. I don't know, where that's going to go, but I think that's a really interesting innovation, and that has huge potential because the cost there is comparatively low compared to other online platforms.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at radio is always accessible. It's always there. It's always it's a reliable source, and I mean, we look at things like, news events like Nelson Mandela and now the Oscar Pistorius trial. People always turning to their radios because televisions are not always around. But is that how it's moving, that you're finding that people are turning to radio as that massive source of information?
Well, it's always been that, isn't it? And I mean, one of the great advantages of the fact that it doesn't have pictures is that you can do other things while you're listening. So it fits comfortably into the car. I mean, people have it on in their homes while they're doing other things. And that means that it has a kind of niche, I suppose, in our lives that other media struggle to fill.
Yeah.
The other great advantage is, of course, speed. I mean, overwhelmingly, the breaking story, the place where people will get their first news of a really big breaking story is on radio, because it's really fast. The turnaround is faster, largely, generally, than most other media.
Yeah, it certainly is. 20 years of public broadcasting. Again, I spoke about the 5 years that radio has changed, but 20 years. Now, this is something that you're going to be looking at as well, no doubt.
Yes, we have a big focus on public radio, public broadcasting. I mean, at that point, of course, it becomes difficult to separate out because in the SABC radio and television work together, and in many other countries that's the case. So we're having a look at the 20 years of public radio. And we have the acting COO of the SABC speaking there, as well as Professor Anton Harbour. We're hoping for the minister still. If she's watching, please let us know if you can come.
Yeah, indeed.
We're still waiting for that confirmation.
Yeah, nice to hear her views going forward.
But then we also have some really great international experiences. We have the head of Swedish Public Radio, Silla Benko. And I think what is interesting in other countries is that public radio has played an enormously interesting role in innovation. And we haven't really seen that here so much. We're using new platforms, developing new programming concepts, working in new ways to fit into the ways in which audiences are shifting and changing. And we're looking very much forward to hear from the Swedish experience, a Dutch broadcasters coming, and various other countries.
Excellent. Can members of the public attend?
Yes, it's a little late now. I mean, it's tomorrow, effectively, we start. But if people are very desperate, they can go onto our website, journalism.coza, and they'll find links there.
Okay.
And can find their way through, and we'll see what we can do.
Excellent. So it's www.journalism.co.za.
Exactly.
You can find information there. If you'd like to attend the Joburg Radio Days, so that's from tomorrow until the 4th. You can go there, listen to some of these amazing speakers and see what it's all about, just bringing some ideas of how radio is moving forward, how it's changed, and some changes that we can expect, especially when it comes to the online radio space as well. All right, let's